right, I think I'm on. Are
I'm,
you on?
I'm definitely on.
Okay. All right. Hey everyone. Welcome back to Fast Charging with B&B. I am Bear,
I'm Brian.
and we have a wonderful, fabulous, exciting, and weird show for you today. I don't know about weird, but hey, what the HE double hockey sticks. We're gonna
Oh, I'm going to demonetize you for that. Oh, how dare
Oh,
you?
I spelled it. It can't count.
I
I
can't
spelled it.
find the hockey stick emoji because I haven't looked. I'm sure it's there.
I'm sure there's one. So, a couple topics we're going to go over. We're going to tease you a little bit here. We got a couple. We got one from Rivian. We're going to talk about some vans, some buses, maybe a little bit of hydrogen talk because that's been requested by a lot of people.
Yeah,
And and
some of our
also,
best people.
yeah. So we're going to definitely make sure we talk at least for 30 seconds about that.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I've got a first comment here saying, JJ, oh boy, 10, guess who keeps saying hydrogen's. Okay, that was from earlier.
Yeah,
And we got, who is this? Please forgive my tardiness. But who is this? You are one of the early showers here.
and the most
And
loyal, most faithful.
and everyone, please let one of us know if the audio sounds proper.
Yeah, yeah. So should we jump right into it?
Yeah, we sure can. As at Bears Workshop NA, that is Lockbird said at Bears Workshop NA. I believe that is my Instagram
Oh,
account, which there isn't much on there, but feel free to participate in that. Let's see here. We are going to get right into it. I need to get my screens in order because they keep on moving. We're going to flip to the main. I'm going to flip to the main screen, Brian. You flip when you're ready.
I
If
have
anyone
already
hasn't,
flipped. Gil Adamowski said 34 seconds for hydrogen, please. I don't know. We'll negotiate it. We'll see what happens. Audio's great. Great. Sounds good as the messages I'm seeing. Let's get into it.
okay, and I have not heard from anyone that the audio is good or bad, but no one's complaining. So we're just going to go for it. And we have our first article today is Rivian R1T pickup named Truck of the Year by Motor Trend.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good for Rivian, and I hope it helps them with their orders.
I think it's also a no-brainer.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got to be something that's all new, or not necessarily all new, but a major change. So Rivian obviously qualifies for that. Cybertruck, for those who are wondering, does not qualify for this because they haven't been released yet. They will next year if they start producing. Even apparently, if you produce 200, you still qualify. So they won't have to get too many Cybertrucks out into 2022 in order to qualify for this award. I don't know who Rivian was up against, but yeah, it's clear that they should take it. And I'd be surprised if Motor Trend in the future gives it to any ICE vehicles anymore. It just seems like it would make sense if they just stick with EVs. There's going to be a constant stream of new EVs coming out from lots of manufacturers. So I think the ICE cars winning this award is going to be few and far between in the future. I'm excited for Rivian for this. I was wondering if anybody knows this because I heard that the Rivian back windows do not go down. Did you hear anything about that?
I haven't. I haven't. Doug DeMuro, I believe, did a review of the Rivian, and boy, was it interesting. There's a lot. There's a lot of clever stuff. There's a lot of quirks and features in
Yeah.
the Rivian R1T. Yeah, it seems like it just seems really well thought out. Apparently, it does not have a heat pump, which
Too
is
much. Too,
it's a
too
lot of
much weight.
well, maybe, but the range benefit could be consequential. But that's something they can always work on for the next version.
Yes, I do find it funny in this article they showed the picture of it doing the that's the tank turn and a feature which is not yet available on the R1T. But
Yeah,
hey,
and probably won't be for safety reasons.
well, yeah, it's something that you can't do on pavement at all. It's got to be on dirt.
Yeah.
So, It's cool, but it's not very useful.
No. All right. Well, let's move on.
All right, we're going to talk about some cargo vans.
Yeah. Now, I know these aren't super sexy, but they're critical, I believe, in the EV transition, and they are excellent candidates for electrification because, for the most part, cargo routes are well defined years in advance, and you know if your route is 50 miles or 100 or 500. You just know.
Yes. So GM is got some. They have a startup company that they created called BrightDrop, and they are making electric cargo vans, which actually seem to be a lot better than the Rivian as far as range goes. These cargo vans are looking to be about a 250-mile range compared to the Rivian ones, which I believe are around 150. The gross vehicle weight is under 10,000 pounds, so I hope it's not like a Rivian R1T that weighs 7,100 pounds, because that doesn't leave that much room for cargo. But we'll see how it goes. They probably have a smaller battery pack in it, reducing the weight, but it is a bigger vehicle. But I think that's actually a good start, and they've actually sent some of these out already. I haven't seen them, but they've got a couple different versions. But I'm impressed to see that it's actually out there. Now, Ford has its own version of the E-Transit, which is going to have less range. So we're talking like 126 miles, and that's on the low roof. The high roof versions are going to be even lower. We're talking like 116 and 108. That's not that impressive at this point in time. I do think that they need to do better. The Ford Transit is priced around 47 to 52, depending on which variant you get. And I did not see a price for the BrightDrop one. And when I say BrightDrop, yeah, I am saying GM. Maybe this is how Mary is saving us. Thanks, Mary.
She led, Bear, and that matters.
She led. And there's not going to be an episode for a while that we're not going to thank her.
Because of all the dumb things, Mary, of all the dumb things, when someone says something that outrageous, if I point out that Bear is one of the best surgeons in all of North America, he can nod and smile and go, totally. But, you know what would be more honest? Point out that he's only in the top 10.
I am a very good surgeon, by the way. What have I done? I've cut meat. I haven't really cleaned a fish yet, but I haven't got my degree in that yet. I have removed stitches, if that counts for anything. So
what is surgery if not cutting meat and removing stitches?
Yeah, so if I can cut a steak, I think I'm a surgeon.
I think you are. Along those lines, isn't it about time we electrified school buses?
Yes, I thought this was very interesting.
Yeah, 10,000 North American school buses will be converted to fully electric by SEA Electric, an Australian company headquartered in Torrance, California. This is fantastic.
It is, but what I find interesting is that they're actually saying that it's cheaper to convert them as opposed to building new ones. So that's pretty interesting. I would imagine underneath a bus there's a lot of empty space. Having RVs, it would be hard to convert an RV because all these space underneath is taken up. But if you go underneath a bus, there's just a very long drive shaft.
Right.
The transmission, the engine's up towards the front, but there's a lot of space to add batteries. So I think that it's very feasible. I'm just surprised that it's actually going to cost less to convert as opposed to build a new one. So that's very interesting. And if they say they can do 3 electric vehicles for the cost of one brand new one. So I think that's an interesting way to go, and I hope it works out for them.
Comments I've seen from teachers say things like, well, I work in the bus line after school and help kids get on the bus. And between the spewing diesel fumes and the incredible noise of it all, it's just pure chaos and it's misery. And yeah, buses are do you really want the kids huffing in the diesel fumes?
Well, it's better than huffing other things.
Well, that's not going to stop them. It'll just make it recreational instead of an occupational hazard.
Yeah, you know when your kid comes home and his face is all gold? It's not good.
Oh,
It's a
really? I thought
sign.
my kids kept telling me it's because they won something, and it
Yeah,
wasn't the genetic lottery.
no. So, going one more thing on that electricity for the buses, and Deep says, I can't imagine how much electricity the bus station would need charging 20 buses at once. Part of this was that these buses are going to feed, it's going to go both ways, that they're going to be able to supply electricity back to the grid if there's a power outage, which, it's going to be rare. But when I saw that, I realized that these buses are probably going to have to be plugged in all the time in order for that to happen. So, and also when they drop off buses, like I've got a bus yard for the school, a couple miles, and all the bus drivers they drop them off and then they stay there until it's time to pick up the kids, which is fine. That's they don't necessarily need to charge it in a day, but at night, if you've got 100 buses, you really need 100 chargers because if they need to charge overnight, there's not going to be someone there rotating these buses unless they have like some really long cables going all the way across the yard. But these buses are going to need to be plugged in all the time. They're going to need, if they have 100 buses, they're going to need 100 chargers to get them charged up.
Yes,
So,
but we're not talking significant range on these. They're not using a lot of juice per day. Most school buses are operate in a very limited area, and even at 15 amps each, they could charge up overnight. So run basically putting in 100 essentially dryer cables. I think
yes.
would be adequate for considering they're back at the station by 4 and they're not out again until 6. You got 14 hours.
Oh, I agree. You don't need a fast charger, but that's why you'll need
But
the
you
same
do
amount.
need 100 sockets.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And you need to make sure you're charging at off-peak times also.
For
Uh,
for sure.
for
And that will
yeah,
with time of use pricing will save even more.
yes,
Should we
yes.
look at the
So,
comments real quick?
yeah, sure. Let's do that.
You can carry a crew of 6 in the Cybertruck. Yes. You also will need to get a Cybertruck first, which between the fact that they haven't entered production and the fact that the backlog is so significant at this point. And by the way, I think a lot of those early reservations are absolutely going to convert, even if just to flip them.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people. I've read people that have said I ordered 100 of them, and another guy's like, well, I ordered 20, I ordered 50, and I definitely think there's going to be some profit taking on that, especially if Tesla allows people to keep the price that they originally agreed to.
I don't. That doesn't sound like the Tesla I know.
Yeah, I know, but it's gonna hit them hard if you ordered the tri-motor that was $70,000 and it's gonna cost $90,000.
Right.
There's gonna be a lot of cancellations. There's gonna be a lot of people who go, I hate Tesla now and I hate him forever. The feedback that they're gonna get from their customers is going to be awful if they do that. Now they may let the people. I would like to see them let the people who have already ordered keep the price and then just raise the price for future orders.
But that's still
Now,
over. That's like $1.5 million. Well, but a lot of those were on the single motor, which is just not in the cards right
no,
now.
no, single motors were the smallest amount.
Right.
They're like less than 10% of all
Oh,
the
okay.
orders. Now, I've ordered a tri-motor and I'm waiting to see what happens because now they have a quad motor. Are they getting rid of the tri-motor or are they getting rid of the dual motor?
Sawyer
Are they
Merritt
getting-
believes they're keeping the dual and the quad only for launch.
Okay, so does that mean, and we don't know this. This is all questions that are now in my head. So does that mean now that I've got a completely different truck, they can justify raising the price because I'm going from a tri-motor to a quad motor?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% yes.
Yeah. Well, if it's reasonable, I'll be okay with it, and as long as the bank's okay with it too.
Right. So a couple of comments on the bus. I can see that working because they sit for a long time and only drive a few hours. But also said, I can't imagine how much electricity the bus station would need charging 20 buses at once, and I can help you with that.
Yeah, that's an easy figure.
Well, the home ec class has 20, 30 ovens that they run at the exact same time. If you can run 30 ovens at once, you can charge 30 buses at once.
That's an interesting way to look at it, but they're probably not charging them at the school.
No.
They're
Charging
them somewhere else.
Yeah, they're going to be at the bus barn, which is probably in an industrial area where the power lines are more likely already set up for that.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need a different, they're going to have to raise their electric service. It's not going to be a 200 amp service that you might find in a regular house.
That'd charge them all over the summer.
Yeah, and they'd stay that way. Mm-hmm. So JJ says, sounds like the Nikola mobile charging stations could do the job. Yeah, I suppose I really haven't seen too many of those yet, JJ. Who is this? Says they need smart chargers like Tesla does and how they connect with each other. Yes. Or they can connect bus to bus. And that's a way to do that if you've got a bus that maybe is down and is going to remain down for a while. If you had to, you could always, if you could charge, suck the charge off of that one.
Right. I did get a question. It's kind of jumping ahead a bit about hydrogen. Have we looked into hydrogen disk storage as in solid hydrogen? That's something I've only heard Sandy Monroe mention. I tried to look it up, and best I can find, that comes from his experience in consulting for military applications, and that may be something that is not available beyond that.
Let's start up a company for that.
Yeah.
After we get off this call.
Yeah. Let's see. Electric school buses supplying emergency power to communities, priceless. It's a logistical nightmare, but it's one with a solution that you could actually get there. Okay, I think we can step forward. What do you think?
I think we're ready to step forward, and we are going to talk about the one and only Ford Mustang Mach-E. And they are raising prices on the Mach-E, probably because they realize that they can. They are increasing their output also to 200,000 plus by 2023. Part of the things that are involved in this is there was some price gouging done by car dealerships where they were adding a $10,000 market adjustment on the stickers. And I think, Ford probably didn't really care because that's what dealers are allowed to do. It's part of their agreement. But they realized people were buying them above market value. So they raised the prices of them, probably because they realized that they can capture that money instead of the dealer capturing that money.
It's also unclear if they were even making money at 44,000, and if they aren't making money, it's not sustainable. If the market will support it, and you need to make a markup, or you're going to go out of business.
Well,
I think go ahead.
Ford and all the legacy automakers are known for selling these cars with a very low margin. So I don't know where they are on the margin for the cars, but $1,000 to $3,000 is not a whole lot of add, especially when you think Tesla's raised prices nearly $10,000 on some of their models this year, and they did that also because they can.
Right.
I'm sure there was some supply constraints that may have raised prices on things, and I'm sure they're affected by the crazy inflation that everyone is having. But $10,000 is pretty significant. The other thing to note about this is that because they're going to be increasing their production, that means the Explorer EV and the Lincoln Navigator, I believe, is going to be delayed. So they're not actually increasing the amount of electric cars they're making. They're just saying, well, we'd rather sell the Mustang than the Explorer.
Even still, ramping to 200,000 for battery packs alone is going to pose a monumental challenge. And I know they've got those two SK Innovation factories in the works, but SK Innovations is a very small company, and this will be the biggest thing they've ever done. There's room for error, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, there's definitely problems that can exist. And the last part of this story is there is a gentleman by the name of Dan Nathan who is on, I believe, Fast Money. He was a guest, and he said he is selling his Mustang Mach-E, not because of the car, but because of the charging infrastructure in New York City sucks, and he just can't get his car charged, and it's too much of a hassle. So he said he's canceling his Rivian order, and he's going to sell his Mach-E because it's just too much of a pain. He said that they are too far behind Tesla to make it worth his while. So I thought that was interesting that while he knocked the whole EV infrastructure, the charging infrastructure, he said Tesla's already there.
Yeah. And that tracks with a lot of the experiences we've seen on YouTube of people doing road trips in a variety of vehicles. Electrify America and EVgo and the like have some room for improvement, I guess, is one way to put it.
Yes. Yes.
Paul Crowder says they are obviously lacking batteries, hence the need to delay other models. Yeah.
That's 100% correct.
100%.
Electrify America. I was going to try and do a video on how much power you could it would take to charge my Tesla. And I'm going to grab a quick drink here. Glad I spiked that one. And when I went there, I looked on their app, and it said that it had a 350 kilowatt charger. And when I got there, I found out that they only had 150s. So their app was wrong. And it said actually every supercharging state or Electrify America charging station had a 350 kilowatt charger. After I got to the first one and realized that they had none, I didn't even bother looking at the other ones because I also realized I needed a $600 adapter in order to use it, which was also kind of disappointing. I was going to do this video because of the Lucid that got charged up to 134 kilowatts when it only has a 112 kilowatt battery pack, but I'm not going to spend $600 just to do one test. So, but yeah, the Electrify America charging network was a little disappointing when I got there. One was out of order, and all of them said 150, and it told me that there was a 350 there. So that was disappointing.
Jason Rogers said, don't forget the Mach-E is made in Mexico. And I assume that is in relation to us discussing that the batteries would be made in the U.S. And yeah, I don't know. They might make the packs in the U.S. and ship them down. I don't know where they're making them currently. Shipping is part of the equation. But they just gotta come from somewhere.
Yeah, and they would have to ship them all the factories outside of Mexico City. So, and that's kind of like central Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a bit of a jaunt. Plus, you're crossing the border, and there's always issues with that. So,
not for trains.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the trains.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I just don't know of the trains that go from the U.S. to Mexico. I just haven't seen any. It doesn't mean that because I go down to Mexico, and where I go, there's no rail that I can see, but I'm sure that there can be. But I could see a time consuming inspection on rail cars to make sure they're not packed full of anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because going into the U.S., you want to check for migrants. Going out of the U.S. or going into Mexico, I get searched probably 70% of the time going into Mexico because they just do.
Look at you. You look like trouble.
I do. No, it's you know what? It's all timing. When I go through the border, there's 2 spots that they have for inspection, and if there's somebody in there, you'll get right through. If they're inspecting someone else. And if there's not, you'll hear an alarm go off as they open up the gate, and then they tell you to pull over. And that's the way it works every time. It's actually pretty random. I like watching them search like these 80-year-old couples, and they're not going to find anything, but they're just completely unbiased, I guess you could say, and which at the border they are. If you go down to other places, it's another story. Anyway.
We got a lot of stories to cover.
Yeah, we do. That's why I said anyway, like, let's move on. And our next topic is, I just wanted to quickly go over the episode 4 and 5 for Sandy Monroe. Episode 4 is a little disappointing to me. I talked about this yesterday on my live stream, but I was disappointed in the sense that Sandy did not show him driving the FCEV. He said he did, and I believe that he did, but I would have liked to have seen him driving it. And he didn't really say much about it. He got out of the truck, said that it drove just like the battery electric. So I guess maybe we're just supposed to go back to the battery electric one and get his opinion on that. But he said it drove just like it, made a comment about how the exhaust was water, and then we were kind of done with the drive. I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more commentary on that. What I was looking for, I don't know, but just the Sandy Monroe insight would have been nice. So
I think most of that was covered on episode 1 when he looked at all the technology inside of it, and boy, is it looking complicated, but I'm confident that will be streamlined with later versions.
Yeah, that's all going to be in a box. So speaking of Nikola, that brings up hydrogen. And
we said we'd talk about it. About it.
Start the clock.
Start the clock. Timer. So this was posted on the electric vehicles subreddit, r/electric vehicles, as part of a PowerPoint presentation that someone had to give explaining the differences. So if you want to travel 10,000 miles, the biggest difference in between fuel cell and battery, 50 cents a kilowatt per mile, with losses in the fuel cell, 15% compression and transportation loss. And then, of course, if you're doing electrolysis to get it clean, 1.25%, so 20% loss, means 7,300 kilowatt hours of clean electricity is needed to go 10,000 miles. Whereas with a battery, there is no conversion loss. The 17 transmission and charging efficiency loss seems more than fair to me. Transmission losses are generally well under 5%. So if you're losing another 12% to heat at the charger, I think it's going to be less than this. But at any rate, it ends up being, 3,000 kilowatt hours of clean electricity versus more than twice as much for hydrogen. And is that worth it to get a faster refill, if that's even what you get?
Well, it might be worth it if there is any facts that in this little spreadsheet, this PowerPoint presentation. I don't think all of these numbers are correct. I think somebody just filled them in for their class project, and I don't think that these are actually accurate.
I believe it was a work project. But these are consistent with ones I've seen before. There are losses at every step with hydrogen.
I'm not questioning the losses. I'm questioning the numbers that they just have in there. First of all, 0.25 kilowatts per mile. That is the EPA on the Tesla is 250. That's if you drive 55 miles per hour without your AC or your heat on and no hills, you could get 250 kilowatts per mile. I typically get 300 when I'm driving. If I am going through the mountains, it's going to be 350. 200 to get 250 kilowatt or a quarter of a kilowatt per mile. 250 watts is very difficult, and it's makes for a very slow and long drive. Is it achievable? Yes, it is. Now, the 50 cents kilowatt per mile on the hydrogen, I don't know where they get the number from. Right now, you can get hydrogen in California, and they charge you $16 a kilogram, which is a ridiculous price. It in no way reflects how much it actually costs. The cost of converting hydrogen with electrolysis, it takes almost 50 kilowatts of energy to make 1 kilogram. So if you look at that and you look at how much the electricity is going to cost and since we're talking about Nikola and they're the big ones on hydrogen. Nikola has an agreement with the electric company here in Arizona, APS, that they can get electricity for 2.7 cents a kilowatt. So if you do the math for 1 kilogram, you're talking 2.7 cents times 50 kilowatts. And anybody know what we're at there? We're at just over $1 for 1 kilogram. Now, 1 kilogram of hydrogen in a car, let's say the Toyota Mora, whatever it's called, it gets between 80 and 100. I saw different numbers on the interweb, just different numbers. So let's go with 80. So you're getting 80 miles on 1 kilogram that actually costs, let's say Nikola, once they build an electrolyzer, it's going to cost them just over $1 to make. So wait a minute. 80 miles for $1, let's say $1.25. That seems like those numbers will not match up to what we're looking at on this spreadsheet. And if Nikola sells it for twice that or 3 times that, it's going to be very easy for them to sell it at 2.5 or $2.50 or $3 for a kilogram.
So there's a couple problems there.
They still have shipping and
the
things.
shipping,
I understand that. But those 50 kilowatts.
You can't hand wave away shipping hydrogen. That's a significant barrier.
Depends on where you create your hydrogen stations. Maybe
you'd have to create them everywhere.
But that's what they should do, and that's what can be done.
Right,
a lot easier than setting up pipelines.
Right, but then you got to build 100 electrolyzers and 100 stations. I mean, we can go into deeper numbers next time, where we've got time to actually pull some research. But
I'm just saying, there's more to it. There's more to it than this spreadsheet.
I think we need to take a quick pause and thank our super chats. David, thank you. Eat Spuds and carry on the good work and silly vocals. David, you got it.
All right, and I want to thank JJ for his super chat. I appreciate that. He said, "Do y'all know the efficiency of fossil fuels?" LOL, like efficiencies was ever the reason we use gasoline. All hydrogen needs to beat is gas, and it does, and that is a good point.
That is fair.
Yeah,
that is fair.
And Stevie Z, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Something for the workshop, he said.
I would add to JJ's point that it has to more than beat fossil fuels, because fossil fuels have an established infrastructure for distribution, where hydrogen would need to establish it. So there is an additional barrier there. The benefits I can see to hydrogen would only be range. It would. I'm not convinced it would be cost, but we can look into that and consider it for next week.
Yeah, and one thing you have to consider, you talk about, they have to build hydrogen electrolyzers all over the place. How many gas stations are there? Isn't there like 100,000 gas stations in the United States?
Probably.
I mean, when you think, yeah, and they all cost a lot of money to build. It's not like just building a storefront. You have to put large, heavy-duty, double hull tanks in the ground of different types, because you have to have all types of fuel. So that building a gas station is not cheap, and probably costs well over $1 million for every gas station that you see.
For sure.
So if it costs $1 million to build a hydrogen station, you're on the same path, because you just put a snack bar and sodas and inside the shop, and it's also making money doing that. That's what it's all about. So unlike what we have with superchargers, I would love to have those with the Tesla superchargers. I'm tired of going over to Carl's Jr.
You know who else? You know who else is thinking about making a bunch of electric cars, and not necessarily hydrogen? Toyota and Lexus shock with reveal of 15 new electric cars. And yeah. I mean,
no.
It's great.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying they're desperately late to the game, but it looks like they're making some efforts. And if you look at the picture on the article here, the front ones look like cars, and the back ones look more like prototypes. And call me crazy, but that one in the back corner looks an awful lot like a Rivian.
Let's see, which are you looking at? The media briefing on?
No, I'm looking at the Autocar article.
The auto car, because
In the back row, there's a truck that looks, their Tacoma's looking an awful lot like a Rivian.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did see that one. Let's see if I could find it for everyone.
Yeah.
Because I did see that one, and that's the Tacoma one, the
Yeah.
Tacoma replacement, right?
Yeah.
There was one in there that I really liked. Let's see if I can find. Okay,
There were,
the white one.
the Lexus electrified sports car. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's pretty.
I actually liked. I just had it up here. It's the one that is. No, that's not it. That it's the new Lexus Saloon could serve as a BMW i4 rival. I like that look. I like the back end of that, the way that it looks like it's
What
got
color is
wide
it?
top. It's like it's a pearl white.
That's not going to help me get there. Oh, maybe this guy? BZ compact SUV?
Oh geez, the BZ. I tweeted out something about that name because I saw someone had posted something about Toyota should be taking their existing brand names and then making them into EVs, like Ford did with the Mustang and the Lightning, because it's a name that people recognize.
Sure.
And I'm looking at the BZ4EXYZ, and I'm like, that just does not flow off the tongue.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. The Lemon MOP looks good.
which one is that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
So my concern with this is great. I'm very happy to see this kind of commitment. 15 new models. And they're saying, well, we're going to get to 3 million cars total. Not per year, but total by 2030. But even if it was 3 million in 2030, that's still not a very consequential percentage of their fleet. And as we talked about, I think it was last week, Toyota to build plant in North Carolina, this will only provide enough batteries for 200,000 vehicles. So if you're doing 15 models and divided by, 200,000 vehicles divided by 15 models, that's only like 13,000 cars per model. So it's like, I'm just not sure what the heck.
Well, you know what I'm not sure about? Toyota seems to have several personalities because you've got the CEO saying EVs are not the way to go. We're not doing that. And we're talking about, what did he say, like 2 or 3 months ago?
Very recently.
And they've been very recent, and they've been consistently against EVs. Meanwhile, they've got 15 cars that is this all CGI or are these real cars?
They look like physical cars. They're probably just pushers, but
yeah, but they're still working on it while the CEO is saying, nope, nothing to see here. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, here they are. So now you got to sit back and go, okay, is this like GM promising 20 new EVs by 2023 a couple of years ago? They've got to put these things out, and if they're serious about it, they need to be serious about it.
Right.
And all these concept cars that we keep seeing, they're just not real yet. So I'd like to see them. Some of them are really cool looking cars.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that they'd be fun to drive.
Sure. Well, it doesn't mean they'll look like that either.
No, it doesn't, which is
No.
a shame.
It is a shame.
Yeah, because they never end up looking like. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, we
No.
could keep talking about that
No.
for a long time.
JJ did want to ask my final thoughts on Sandy and Nicola. And what Bear said, I think, is very fair. I was expecting Sandy to provide more information on the hydrogen, and I guess my takeaway was it's as good as the battery, and I am pleased to see that the factory has more trucks in progress inside, and as Bear's video yesterday showed, they're moving out. They're moving out.
Two of them moved out yesterday. They put them on truck haulers. I almost called them car haulers, but it's a truck hauler. And that's not the first two that we've seen being put on trailers like that and taken out. They're definitely not the first ones. We've seen other ones, and we've gotten video of it. So they are making these trucks and they are shipping them out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the rumor is that they're going to TTSI in Long Beach at the ports.
Yeah. And the beauty
Be
with
used
the
there.
with the early customers is they've got known use cases. They can have their chargers purpose built for exactly their application, giving them the best opportunity to figure everything out. Who is this asked or pointed out that we were supposed to be see the new models at the last Olympics, but they never materialized. Yeah.
COVID.
Well, and then, yes, I'm sure that's why. And for that matter, we were supposed to see any EVs from GM at the auto show because they got dozens coming. Because if there's one thing we know about Mary, it's that she ain't gold, but she lead.
Yes. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Mary, where's my super chats? Is it possible to do a negative super chat? All right. Yeah.
Did you talk about the battery building in that Toyota's?
I mentioned that it's great, it's wonderful, $1 billion factory, but it's only enough to make 200,000 cars. It's not enough.
Now they do expect to get more by what was the year? I'm scrolling through here real quick. I don't remember if they were going to raise that to like 500,000 or 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were going to increase that number. Up to 1.2 million, and that's probably by 2031. And while that's a decent amount, 1.2 million vehicles per year, it still doesn't meet their goals or meet what the goal would be to get rid of ICE vehicles because they sell more cars than that.
It doesn't represent a meaningful percentage of the total production Toyota typically sells.
Yeah, I think they do about 8 to 10 million cars a year, but that's all over
Globally.
the world.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe this is just a good start if they're going to build one battery factory now, and maybe they're going to build another one start in another year or two, but they're going to need to. So that's obvious. There's going to be there's going to be a large need for battery plants everywhere.
They sell about a little over 2 million a year in the U.S. So it would be over half their production, but only just.
Yeah. So, well, then they just need another battery plant. Just build one.
Right.
There you
in
go.
addition to the one they will have and the one that they are also more than doubling the size of. Vastly more than doubling the size of.
How are we doing on time? 5:42.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad at all. I've got another article that if we run short in regards to Toyota, found an article unlearning what Toyota taught us. But we'll save that. I thought it was very interesting.
Do you have any chats you would like to address real quick?
Well, we've got a lot of conversation going on.
So who is this? Said no, that was in reference to the solid state battery comment, not the new models. Yeah, solid state battery is proving to be pretty vexing. That is a big part of what killed the Dyson electric car program. Is they were really counting on it, and they got $500 million into it, and realized that the financials just didn't work out. They tried to sell the division, nobody was buying, which is unfortunate because getting somebody new from outside the auto industry with enough money to make it happen would have been fantastic. But
I've got a comment from Mary. It's not Mary but you're. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. Oh, I can't see, guys. I got a comment from Mark. Sorry, Mark. From my old eyes, that's what it looked like. It said Mary because you put Mary in what you wrote. When GM goes bankrupt, will Biden say Mary did it?
I don't think he will. I do not think he will. And I've got another super chat from JJ. Can Brian join Bear in the Nikola factory tour? If that's something they would allow, well, first of all, if they would allow Bear at all, but then if they would allow me too, I'd be there. I'd be there. I would make the flight for that, without a doubt.
And I would actually drive you there. Also, I won't make you take your own car like I did last time.
No, you drove me last time.
I know I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be great. And Brian and I were talking earlier, if do that county fair thing that they did in Berlin, if they do that in Texas, we are both going to try and make it. I've only got 1 week of my life that's locked up next year, so I'm hoping it doesn't happen that week. And Brian, you have also
I've got a week and I've got about a week and a half that's bad. Well, I've got like 2 weeks that are bad in January, but in the middle of it, I could make it work if it had to. So the problem is, boy, January and February is probably when it's going to happen. So hopefully it doesn't goof up. Wanted to say a quick howdy to Jack in the chat. He's an old friend of mine. We were in films together.
Oh,
No.
Russian porn?
No, we did comedy stuff together. It was great.
Oh,
He's a very, very clever writer and actor, and the inventor of a board game. I don't know if he wants me to say what it is. He can tell me in the chat. He can tell me in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, if he wants, he could chat it out.
Yes, Hockey Day is saying hydrogen will be created from natural gas. It will not be green. And that is, as I understand, the absolute reality of it.
Well, it's probably still better than what's going on right now. Get behind a diesel truck, suck in those fumes, and tell me whether you'd rather take that than, say, blue hydrogen. So, anyway, Cruiser says semi-solid state batteries from Chinese companies are ready to go.
Yeah, they're mostly solid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, they have some liquid, but they're not.
Is that like melted chocolate?
They're like Nutella. They're a creamy battery. No, they use far less liquid. They're a step in between, and I don't know how. I haven't seen enough recently to know how effective and beneficial those are.
I don't know much about it either. Except
JJE says electricity is mostly made from fossil fuels at the moment. Should we stop electric cars too? JJ, you know better. Most electricity is not made from fossil fuels, and controlling emissions at a plant is infinitely easier than trying to do so at every single tailpipe. You know better. You know better, my friend. You know better. Come on, man.
For the record, my 2 Teslas probably get about half of their charge from my 12.9 kilowatts of solar panels on my roof. So just saying, I'm not personally helping to pollute because I am making my own energy every day. It's Arizona. We get a lot of sun.
But in terms of climate change, Bear is nothing but hot air.
We're
doing all right on time here. What do we got?
After this is done, I'm going to blow up my own hot air balloon with my mouth.
When this is done, I'm going to turn the heat on because it's chilly.
For those of you that don't know, Brian is wearing a jacket because he says it's 50 degrees in his room right now, and he's not turning on his heater because he doesn't want to mess up the sound. So he is not lying. Oh, it's colder now. It looks like it's about 48.
Yeah, it's on my channel. It's flipped, but yeah, it is. It is. You know what? Yeah, it's chilly. It's a little chilly. I don't mind.
So. And that's why we're not going to go for 2 hours because he will be suffering from hypothermia.
Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I'm a fat guy. I can weather it. I'm built for this temperature. So, kind of a fun thing.
My brain stays warm.
Kind of a fun thing that came up is your Tesla will now tell you if your tires are wearing unevenly. And they're able to do that by finely measuring the difference in rotation between the front and rear wheels or the side wheels. So somebody got a notification saying, your tires are wearing unevenly, please schedule a tire rotation. Because they noticed I assume it was a rear wheel drive model, that the back tires were a little worn down because it takes them slightly more rotations to get the same number of miles as the front tires.
I'm going to go with that's effing incredible.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Now, they can tell that from the tire rotation, but also there was something on here about, and in this article, they did not know how Tesla is doing it, but it was in regards to one of the tires had uneven tread. And I'm not sure how you can tell that by rotation or something else. I don't know what trickery
I I hadn't seen
I
that.
don't know
I
what
thought
kind
it
of.
was that the rear tires were more worn than the front
It
tires.
might have been in another article, but it said something to the effect of your tires are wearing unevenly, and no idea how you would figure that out. Let's
That one I
see.
definitely don't know.
Yeah. So well, really thought it was in here. Yeah, just if your tires are worn and the thread depth is more interesting, the system also detects if the tires are wearing unevenly. It's in the second paragraph underneath the picture. And a screenshot obtained by the publication shows a warning message informing the driver that the rear tire tread is too low.
Yeah,
And
that's front to back,
yeah,
not within the same tire.
right. But they do say in the article that it's saying your tire is wearing unevenly, which could be you're out of alignment, you've got bad ball joints, anything that's going to make the tire go like that. If they're overinflated, they could wear unevenly. If they're underinflated, they can wear unevenly. But somehow they are able to check that, and I have no idea what kind of magic that is, because there's a lot of magic that goes on in Tesla. And if some of you guys are hating Tesla, the vents that are invisible, I don't know how they do that. I haven't looked it up because I just want to keep thinking that it's magic, but I just don't know how with no vents they can make it go in my face and then blow in my stomach just by using the little touchscreen. I mean, I know the touchscreen is obviously controlling some sort of actuator, but you don't see any of it, and there's no vents to break. So that's magic, and I know that there's no real way that they're doing that.
Well,
This
and the
this is also magic.
sure,
This is
and the
also magic.
over-the-air updates are incredible. It would be so wonderful to have a vehicle that can get better over time instead of just older.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my car to tell me, did you lose weight? I think that would be awesome. You're
Keep
looking
waiting.
good. You've lost 2.3 pounds.
Keep waiting. Let's see here.
I am going to thank JJ again for another super chat. Thank you. Bear, please correct Brian. According to the EIA, 61% of energy in 2020 in the U.S. is from fossil fuels. I'm for hydrogen as long as it moves towards green. I've got to go with JJ on this. I don't think that what you said was necessarily correct. I don't think we're at a place where most of our energy is green energy or clean energy. I think most of it is still coming from coal and other sources, and natural gas, which I don't think is considered clean either, because blue hydrogen is not clean.
So my apologies to JJ. Hydro makes up a much smaller percentage than I realized. I'm in the West, so hydro is all we do.
Yeah. And Brian, if you want to keep saying incorrect things so that JJ gives me super chats to correct you, go ahead. I'm cool with that too.
Bear is handsome and wise.
Oh,
We'll see how much money that brings in.
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some pie charts here. But regardless, controlling emissions at grid scale is vastly easier than at the tailpipe. That is not up for debate. Even from coal.
John's touchpad says tire pressure differences. Tire will wear differently at Bear. Right, but does that mean that if your tire pressure is incorrect for a week, are you going to get the warning? If it's low for a day, are you going to get the warning? Because your tires haven't worn poorly after a day. It would have to be at the wrong pressure for a long period of time in order for it to wear incorrectly. And the Tesla's also going to scream at you that your pressure is incorrect. My wife's got one tire on her car that she constantly has to pull it over the shop, and I got to put air in it. She's like, my tire is low again, and I'm like, all right, I got it. And it's just one tire, but they work. They tell you exactly what you're at. Though that is a complaint about Tesla. I'm not going to get into it too far, but if you don't sit in the car when you're putting air in, the screen goes away and you can't see how much air is in your tire. So once you fill up all your tires, you have to go drive for a minute to see where your pressure is. So you either bring a little pressure gauge with you, or you have your wife sit in your car while you add the air, because once you get out, the screen goes away and you have to drive It's blank until you drive like a mile. Little quirk. Let's go with Doug DeMuro. It's quirk that is not a good quirk in the Tesla. Just saying.
Right, right. Let's see. Which chat was it on? I saw. Oh, unlike legacy car companies, those over-the-air updates, you will not be charged for them. You know, like how Toyota is now going to charge you $8 a month to do remote start on your app. Did you hear about that?
I think that's ridiculous. I once had a Ford that was delivered. I may have told this story already, but I had a Ford that was delivered to me brand new, and the map was out of date, and they wanted like $200 to update the navigation in the truck. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
No.
I didn't get it.
No. All right. I think we can move on. We're doing
All right.
almost
And
perfect
by the way,
on time.
Mark says he doesn't trust the EIA. I don't trust any of them, but
I believe the difference between what I understood and what it actually is significant enough to say that even if they're off a bit, that I was mistaken.
thank you. You stand corrected.
Well,
And nobody corrected you on my charming good luck
I
thing.
know. Vehicle emissions declines, decreased deaths, study finds. Well, shouldn't be too surprising. Could you believe that less pollution leads to less deaths? Researchers say thousands of lives and hundreds of billions of dollars have been saved by recent reductions in emissions from vehicles.
That's all great, and I hope these things are actually true, but I have a hard time figuring out how they quantify all of this. It just seems to me that it's very hard to quantify.
So,
How do you
sure.
actually tie that in without randomly putting in numbers?
So what I've seen is that in the past, I don't know about this particular study, is that they've looked at respiratory-related illnesses in proximity to highways or factories or whatever. And if the respiratory illnesses go down. But especially for people with asthma, I don't know if you've seen before, people with asthma living in factory towns do not do well.
No. I still question studies like this, whether it's the EIA. I always question this because you can go out there and find studies that are going to say cars make up 20% of all the pollution, and trucks make up 30% of all the pollution, and electricity power plants make up 60%, and suddenly you find out all these numbers add up to like 296%. The numbers never seem to match up, and it kind of seems like they're all different studies. So they're not trying to match up to another study. They're just trying to come out with a number, but they always seem to be, they don't coincide with each other very well. I mean, obviously pollution is going to affect people, but there's other things that you have to question whether they take into consideration. Most highways run through lower income neighborhoods, which means they may have less access to health care, which may mean that they're more likely to be susceptible to lots of different things. So maybe that has a factor. And maybe now that there's government health care, maybe those deaths are going down because more people have access to health care. Completely different stuff. But when you look at it like that, it's like, okay, well, that's actually not a far-fetched conspiracy thing. That's plausible.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I think, though, we can all agree that reductions in pollution are beneficial. In
Absolutely.
the future, I believe that if every car was run on unicorn farts right now, you would still have emissions from brake pads and tires.
yeah, I don't think that's going to be something that's going to have a long-term effect on many people.
I'm just saying there is no zero. I had to bring this out real quick. There's a couple funny things here. So JJ, thank you again. Elon's goal was always to spur the government to go green. Now that it has, y'all insult the government and the boomer companies trying to go green. What? I don't know what a boomer company is, but just trying to move us in the right direction, man. We're all on the same team. But
Yeah.
but the part I really had to do, Club Tessie says, JJ, why you got them penguins on yo DP, bro? To which JJ says, I like penguins, bruh. That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Yeah. All right, so JKM, does Elon Musk really deserve the Time Person of the Year? The only one that can out Elon, Elon's Elon, is Trevor Milton. All right, I want to address this. First of all, yes, I do think Elon Musk deserves the Time Person of the Year. You've got to understand, Time is typically screws this up and picks the wrong thing. They have got a very consistent record of just making stupid choices. This is not. Elon Musk is someone who's brought a lot of change to our society and the world, and he's going to continue going forward to make a lot of changes. Whether you like Tesla or not, you got to understand, Time gives these awards to the people of the most influence in the world. That's how the award is given. They have given this award to Joseph Stalin twice. They've given it to Adolf Hitler. It's not necessarily saying that they love him, and the article that they did on him was not exactly a flattering article. They kind of ripped into him a little bit, which was, I guess, to be expected, because that's what the mainstream media does. They want to make their articles interesting, and squirrels on surfboards and things like that.
Sure.
But
so
Elon does outdo Trevor. Elon does make promises that don't often show up, and people forgive him more than they would forgive someone like Trevor Milton, because Trevor Milton never made a thing in his life. Elon Musk, while missing targets and missing goals, has produced things that never would have been produced if it wasn't for him. You take a company like GM and Mary Barra, whether Mary was there or not, the company would probably be in the same place where it is. There was no innovation that actually came off of Mary's desk. Elon Musk is an incredible innovator, whether you like him or not, whether you think he's obnoxious or egotistical or narcissist. It doesn't matter. He has made more steps. He should have won this award last year or the year before, because he's actually changing everything that we do. Game changer stuff. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm going to take it a slightly different direction. It's not an award.
Okay.
It's recognition. And the award is not for best person or coolest dude. I saw a lot of people saying, well, Officer Goodman from the Capitol should have won the award. Well, he is, quite inarguably a hero for his efforts to divert rioters. But he was only in the news for a very short time. And that's what the award is. That's not what the award is about. The recognition is about being a newsmaker. And the bigger point is, Elon is big in the news. You add his name to any headline, and it drives clicks. Time is a magazine. They sell magazines. They're going to sell a lot of magazines, way more by picking Elon than by picking Officer Goodman or probably anyone else. So the people who are saying, enough with this guy already, all you have to do is stop clicking on the articles and they'll stop writing about him. That's how it works. So, and to the people who say, well, he hasn't done anything, his team's, he's just got money, it's too easy. It's not easy. Money is not enough to make you successful. It's one element. It may be a critical element, but just having money is not enough to get you, to make you an orbital class, human rated rocket program.
Yeah, Elon Musk doesn't have money. I got to correct you, since you corrected me on the award thing. Oh, you little snob. Wordplay. Elon Musk doesn't have money. He has assets.
Right.
He doesn't keep cash. He doesn't own any homes. Do a Google search, Jeff Bezos' yacht and Elon Musk's yacht.
Right.
You're only going to get something for one of them, and it's going to be a big yacht, and that's Jeff Bezos. Elon Musk doesn't spend his money. He just keeps it. He's selling stock right now just to pay a tax bill. He lives in a house that we would all consider probably equal to what we ourselves live in. Mm-hmm. He is not out there living the high life. He just has the money as a consequence of his action. He doesn't have the money. He has the assets as a consequence of his actions, of Tesla, of SpaceX, of all the companies that he has built up that are game-changing type of companies.
Right.
So, and the one thing I do have to say is, did time make him get the evil villain haircut?
Yes. No, that's a clue, don't you know? I think it means white walls are coming.
White walls?
Yeah, right? Isn't that what it means? No, I have a theory on that, and I was going to make a whole video, and I may still, but if his time is worth $10 million an hour, he saved $10 million on that haircut.
Oh, yeah.
By not going to a salon.
He looks like Kim Jong-un,
Yes.
or whichever one is in charge of North Korea.
Kim Jong-Musk.
Kim Jong-Musk. So I'm hoping he lets that grow back in a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't talk. I shave the size of my head. Also, but
He was copying me.
Yeah, so Musk is emulating me, but he needs to comb it back or something, because that.
Now he needs to grow the logo stash.
He needs to finish off the Tony Stark goatee and dress all in black with black sunglasses with gold rims. I think that would help the image.
On your channel, Mark said Elon cut his own hair. It looks like it. I'd be more inclined to think...
That is what I heard.
I'd be more inclined to think he just had his assistant cut it, or just stopped by one of the line workers and was like, "You look good with equipment. Take these clippers and see what you can do." We are over time, but we've got one more big one I wanted to cover.
Okay.
The best-selling EV in China. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Wuling Hongguang Mini EV, 40,000 in November.
Say that again.
Wuling Hongguang Mini EV.
That is awesome. I never
practiced.
would have gotten that out of my mouth. I just would have spit up on myself.
Yeah, it's but here's the thing. Yeah, they sell a ton of these little guys because neighborhood vehicles are nothing new in China, but this isn't a neighborhood vehicle. This is not a 25 mile an hour car. It's like a 45 or 50, which sounds terrifying. You should look up some crash tests. It's alarming.
Oh my God.
And by the way, this is partially owned by GM. So I think those fudged numbers that GM is using include this little guy. Now, here's the thing. Bear, what is the profit margin on a Tesla?
Like 24%.
Yeah.
Now.
And how much is a Tesla?
$50,000 starting.
We'll make that nice and round, so that'd be 17,000-ish in profit. 12 to 17,000 in profit. This car costs $5,000. The whole price, $5,000.
Yeah, you know what? And it goes 45 miles per hour. So
Something like that.
I still got I'm still waiting on my cyber quad, but I think I'd rather be on my cyber quad for kids than I would want to be in that. Lockbird asked, what are the diameters of the tires? 4. I don't know.
Boy.
It looks like there's 4 lug nuts on it, though.
Yes.
I'd be surprised if there actually were. That is, I could never fit in that. There's no chance in the world that I'd be able to get into that.
Oh, you're not a tiny Asian lady? You're not
I'm not a
petite Chinese woman commuting?
Well, for the right amount of money, I could be.
Online, no one knows I'm a golden retriever. But no, it's exciting. I mean, every bit helps. I'm not going to criticize this. A lot of people cannot afford $50,000. Let them buy a $5,000 car.
But, part of that you have to consider is that this is the Chinese market and they do not have the same safety regulations. And that's one of the things that makes these cars so cheap.
Right.
Because there's no airbags in this car. I would guarantee it. There's probably seatbelts, and that's probably all you're looking at as far as safety goes. But I don't even know if the glass would be up to par.
I would assume it's not. If this car had U.S. rated DOT glass all around, they could govern it to 25 miles an hour and import it as a neighborhood electric vehicle and sell them for 10, 20,000 and make a mint. But even this, even limiting it to 25 and going neighborhood electric route, it obviously wouldn't pass. Otherwise, we would already have it. So this is, if you got to get your population numbers down, Wuling Hong Guang Mini.
Mark says this is probably safer than a bicycle. I don't know. On a bicycle, you're probably wearing a helmet.
You're probably not going 50.
Yeah. Well, you can get hit by something doing 50.
Yeah.
But I think in either case, you're kind of screwed. And Lockhart says it looks like a one-seater. Not for me, because I wouldn't be that one. I couldn't fit in that.
It's at least 2, but it might even be 4. I don't remember now. Let's see. Remember the Geo Metro? Yes, Jason, I do. I was actually asleep in the back seat of a Geo Metro when the driver decided to join me in slumber when I was about 20. And we went ahead and drove off the freeway at about 60, 65. And I had to have reconstructive surgery over that. It was a very difficult year for me. So, yeah. I had
what was reconstructed?
My sinuses, basically. I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
I kept getting sinus infections because my face was so messed up from it. But now I'm beautiful.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job on that. I would send them a thank you card every year.
Yeah, it was a tough year, man. It was a tough year. Head trauma.
So, real quick, I've got one article that I didn't send you the link for.
Right.
But you guys may want to take a look at this after the show. It's called Unlearning What Toyota Taught Us. And it puts praise on Toyota for changing the industry. And it took the car industry a long time to go, oh, look what Toyota's doing about being slow to make changes and things like that. And then Tesla has come in and totally torn that apart to the point where, Tesla, they don't make a brand new model every 4 years. And a lot of car manufacturers do that. They revamp their line. They got to retool everything for doing their every 4-year makeover. And I know Toyota goes every 4 years, and a lot of the other companies do also. But Tesla makes changes on the fly. Want to add castings instead of the 70-piece back end. Let's get a casting and let's just start putting them in. And they do things a lot differently, and it's enabled them to save money in every aspect. There was something in this article about the electric architecture and how they just changed it on the fly, and it saved on the Model 3s, and it saved $300 per car instead of waiting for a full redesign. And 300 cars times 100,000 is suddenly a lot of money. And it just touts on Tesla's ability to make changes on the fly, which is being a lot more conducive to this market that they're in. So
on 100,000 cars, cars, what would that be? 30 million? Let's see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 30 million a year on just 100,000 cars. Now let's do 500,000.
Yeah, that increases their profit margin quickly. A lot of money.
Yeah.
Not insignificant. So that's one of the things that Tesla does. I know I did a lot of Tesla bragging on this episode, but I am a fan of all the EVs except for the ones that suck. Those I'm not a fan of, and so is Brian. And it's probably time for us to wrap this up, isn't it, Brian?
Sure. I did think we should hit the chats again real quick.
Sure.
Paul Crowder said that I have the best sinuses in the EV business. And that's tough to argue. Jeff Newport pointed out, and I can't believe no one's mentioned this before, Brian, the Tom Cruise double.
That's, you know what?
Yeah.
I see it. I see it now. See it now.
Yeah. Bear, you mean GM, not Tesla, because we all know GM is the leader.
That's right. My mistake. Thanks, Mary.
Disturbed 47 had a funny one earlier that I wanted to get at, and it got buried pretty quick. Let me see if I can. You
find that, and I just want to comment on Mark's comment. He says he agrees with Elon cut all subsidies. I agree. I did see an article about that, and I saw people whining about, well, he took them before, and now he's just not taking them because he doesn't like the terms that come with it. Well, I agree with cut all subsidies. I know Brian doesn't. I am not a big government guy, and I agree, cut all subsidies. Tesla's been able to do what they've done without the subsidies, except for some small ones, One of them, which was a loan, which they paid back. GM still owes the government money, so does Chrysler, I believe, from their last bailout, which they'll never pay back. I don't believe that these subsidies are good for the country. I think they're only good for these companies that do not want to spend the money. And Lockbart says he's a big fan of Mary Barra's Chevy Bolt. Yes, I think it's an awesome car. I wish I could buy one.
They're so hot. I found the joke earlier from Disturbed 47. I think Herbert Morrison said all there is to say about hydrogen when he said, "Oh, the humanity." That's not fair. That's not fair.
In case you didn't get that, that is a Hindenburg reference, and not the company that kills companies. It's the Hindenburg blimp.
It's a Zeppelin, my friend. It's a Zeppelin. So great. I think it's time to give a quick thank you all to my Patreons who get early access, bonus content, and ad-free experience, and help keep the channel chugging right along for as little as $1 a month. And you know, it's great because I am just chugging along.
Just chugging. He drinks a lot. I want to say thanks to all my Patrons. I also want to thank everybody who subscribed in the last couple of weeks. We hit that 10,000 subscriber goal, so really excited about that. New goal coming up. Brian and I are going to race to 15,000. Sound like an idea?
It sounds like an idea, but man.
But we're not betting money because Brian's got a huge lead on me. So all you people watching on Brian's channel, come help me out. I want to win this one. We haven't bet anything, and I just made that up. So
no, but
I don't know if we.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I'm giving you a big head start.
I know. I'm only 40% ahead, 60% ahead. But boy, my subs have slowed down. YouTube does not like showing my videos to new folks. It is exhausting.
So if you are not subscribed to Brian's channel, please do.
Yeah.
Please help him out. Not that I want him to win this little friendly competition, but if you're also watching on Brian's channel and you're not subscribed to mine, please hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
We've got some things coming up here at Bear's Workshop. We've got the new drone, and we still need to do some test flights to make sure that we're safe and we can manage it, because you never know with a new product. You don't want to dump it into the ground. So we're going to do a couple test flights before we get some really good footage at Lucid. And Lucid is raising steel, and I got a lot of information from someone at Lucid at the construction site that I'll be sharing tomorrow when we do our Lucid flyover. So check out my channel, look for that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's Tyler just
there you go.
gave me a super chat. Thank you, Tyler.
Nice.
I think you just got here. You're gonna have to watch the whole episode.
And another thing I did want to say at the end here is, for anyone watching on the replay or anyone watching now, when there are topics you want to see next week, you got to let us know. JJ let us know he needed to see hydrogen. We showed him hydrogen.
Tyler also wanted to see us talk about hydrogen, which we did.
Yeah, and he'll catch it on the replay. We covered it. Hi, Tyler. Mm-hmm. We covered it quite a bit. More than we planned to, I think.
Well,
thanks,
we
JJ,
seconds, right?
for making us cover hydrogen. But seriously, if it's what needs to be discussed, we discuss it.
Yeah, and I think hydrogen probably will come up again as we find out more information and maybe reliable information. Because a lot of the numbers that I was pulling up, some of them were old, some of them were new,
sure.
You just don't know what's right anymore. Goddamn internet! All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we're just about done here.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, check us out next Tuesday, same time, same channels, and we'll see you then. I want to thank everyone again, patrons, viewers, subscribers. Brian, thank you, Brian, for being here
and
helping me co-host Fast Charging with B&B. We'll be back again next Tuesday.
See you guys then.